This video was created on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, and the Yarhi Nakota Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. Along many of the roadsides in Alberta, you might just spot a pheasant. So today, let's paint a pheasant. Okay, good morning, my art friends. This morning we are going to paint a pheasant. So these are some of the supplies that we're going to need. We're going to need a charcoal pencil. We're going to need a big watercolor brush, a small one for fine details. You can get these watercolors, a palette like this, at the dollar store for probably around $8 to $10. We're going to need some fresh water for doing our watercolor, and I've got a box of Kleenex close by in case we make any mistakes in our watercolor. Now I like to use a kneaded eraser, and I always like to make it in the shape, before I begin my drawing, of the being that we're going to be doing, or the entity. Today it is the pheasant, and so as you can see, I've made a little pheasant here, and this will be used also for erasing our drawing if I make any errors. Okay, and then finally I've got this coffee ready. This mug was made by my mom for myself and my wife Lee. It's a really nice mug. Okay, let's get started on drawing the pheasant out. As you can see, we've got a great photo here of a pheasant taken by my friend Ken Richardson, probably when he was out hunting. And so we're going to start off drawing this pheasant, and we're going to start off with a big shape here. We've almost got a, it's almost like a triangle or a guitar pick, if you've ever seen one of those. And I'll start with that. And then I can see that we've got another shape. The second biggest shape is probably this one. And going to be like this. It's going to come down here. You can just follow along, and as I always say, pause the video if you need to, or you need to ask your teacher too, if your teacher is putting this on a on the smart board. Okay, so, oh, I went a little too big. I can see that if I make this too big, that that it's going to, the tail here is going to, I don't want it to go right off the page. So I might have to make everything a little bit smaller. Okay. We want the proportions to be accurate. So it's important that we get everything. This is your foundation drawing, or this is very important because, like I've always said in previous videos, if you're building a house and you don't have the foundation or structure at the bottom right, then everything's going to be a little bit distorted or not right. So we got to have a good foundation drawing. Now, about the reason why I'm drawing a pheasant or painting a pheasant with you today is that I don't know, the last cold snap that we had, it was very cold. I was my wife and I were having coffee there in the living room, and outside the window I said, "Hey, what's that?" I saw this big green shiny object at the bottom of the stairs in the snow, and thought, "What the heck is that?" And it got up, started moving, and it was a pheasant. And so the pheasant has been around. It's been in our neighbors, both of our neighbors' yards on both sides, and I notice it's been going along the back path here and eating bird seed. You know, people have bird feeders, and the pheasant, as I understand, is a ground. It doesn't fly a lot. When it does fly, it flies very quickly, like 60 miles an hour, apparently, in short bursts to get away from predators. So anyway, the pheasant has really been around, and it was kind of neat because last year when I was teaching grade 7 and 8 in Blackie, Alberta, nearby Frank Lake there, I used to go after school and just go for a walk, look at the birds. You know, they got pelicans there, all kinds of birds you could see in my previous videos. And so it was also hunting season when I was there, and so there was hunters around, and I noticed a particular pheasant by the ditch beside the roadway there going in, and I wondered, well, I'm pretty sure that the pheasants know that the hunters cannot shoot at them when they're near a roadway. Obviously, you can't hunt within a couple miles or kilometers of a roadway for a good reason. And so anyway, saw a pheasant there walking around, and it actually went up on the road and started running like a road runner. Couldn't believe it that I got this footage on my iPhone here. You can see the pheasants running along just like the Roadrunner in the Roadrunner cartoons. And so I thought, wow, that is really, really interesting. So anyway, this is kind of the reasons, or the reason that I want to paint the pheasant today with you. And oh, also look at the colors on a pheasant. Like they are really seem out of place in the prairie, which is you know, quite drab in color. The prairie is, and yet these pheasants are just absolutely stunning in their color, and they aren't indigenous. The pheasants aren't. They I believe they came from the ones around here in North America came from Mongolia, or Asia. They were brought over and introduced in I think the 1800s at some point here in Oregon. You know, the people that really know are the birders, or you can look it up on the internet there if you want to know more about where they came from exactly. But anyway, I just love, you know, I get up in the morning sometimes, and particular pheasant is in the backyard there, and just watching it is quite spectacular. The colors, which we're going to have fun doing once we get painting here. Okay, when I'm looking at the feet here, as you can see in the photo, I'm paying attention to spaces like in here. You see where there's a space in here? Always pay attention as much to the what's called negative space, or the space around what you are drawing or portraying, and you're gonna be, I think, more pleased with the results. And your friends or parents are going to be like, wow, amazing. And I know all of you can do this, and I'm going to prove it to you in a minute, because I'm going to show you, well, I'll show you right now. This is video footage of, I was out in my school of Blackie that I was last teaching at. I'm retired now. But I went out there and I painted pheasants, or showed the students how to paint them in Ms. Batram's class. She's teaching what I taught, and as you can see, the students had about the same amount of time as you, probably 45 minutes, and this is some of the work that they did. And you can also see that their work is much different. We don't want to do everything the same, and we shouldn't do everything the same, because our interpretation of the pheasant, because you're all different people, you're all unique, and there's only one of you, and we want that to shine through in our drawings and our paintings, is how you do it. Okay, you know what? This is enough, probably a good enough map. I could have made the tail a little bit longer, and I'm not 100% happy with the proportions, because I can see that this is a lot wider than I would have liked, but I think it's good enough to start painting anyhow. We've got a good enough map there, so we're going to start painting. Okay, painting is always the fun part for me, and I like to go a little bit wild here to begin with in the colors all around the pheasant. So I'm going to get lots of water on my brush here, and I'm going to, I can see that there is a lot of kind of yellow and I'd say brown I love to watch the kids in the class paint because they just they use all kinds of colors that I would never think of using, and they get some really interesting results. Okay, so I've got some kind of browny yellow going in here, big areas. We're going to do some of the grass behind the pheasant, kind of yellowy orange up here. And we're not going to be too I would say precious about things. We're just going to lay in colors as we see them, and just have fun painting. This is the best part of my week, best part of my day right here. Just so I don't know how it's going to turn out. The future is uncertain, as they say, but it's also exciting to see what could happen here. You know, if you watch Bob Ross, he's one of my heroes for doing this. What I'm doing with you here. He was a painter. He had his own TV show, and he used to say, he used to talk about happy accidents. You know, that you do something when you're doing any kind of art, and something unintended happened. Just like in life, sometimes you think, "Oh, that's a mistake I made," but in fact, it was a real blessing, or it was really great what happened if you look at it in a different way. It's what makes life interesting, is the surprises that come along. We'll put all kinds of color in there. Let it do what it's going to do. You know, recently a friend of mine, the great singer-songwriter Ian Tyson, he passed away, but one of the things that he told me when he's doing his art, writing his songs, which is the same as what we're doing here in a lot of ways, is he just said, don't fight with it. You let that painting or that song be what it wants to be. Just let it be what it wants to be. Don't fight with it so much. Just enjoy being able to sit here and paint and have a drink of coffee or whatever. Orange juice maybe, I don't know. Okay, so I got, I like what's happening here in the log. I'm just laying in some color here. And you know what, I'm going to do this also with the, on the pheasant. Look at the feathers and the colors. That is unbelievable how beautiful that is. And it's just amazing. And I know my friends who are fly fishers, they tie their own flies for catching the fish, and these pheasant feathers that they use are amazing. Like, you have so many different colors there to choose from if you are making a flies for or imitating flies for fly fishing. I'm just going to let those colors go a little bit wild in there, and oops. This is what I mean about the Kleenex. If it goes somewhere I don't want it to go, I just go like this and dab it up. Do the dab. You remember that dance move? Okay. There we go. Put some orange in here. You can see these paints that come from the dollar store and whatnot. They'll do the job for you. You don't need fancy stuff to be an artist. You just need to practice and figure things out. There's so many so much great instruction on YouTube now too. You know, whether you're fixing a door or painting. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to go have some breakfast and let this dry. Go have some toast, and then I'll be right back, and we'll continue. Okay, so I left that for a couple of hours, and as you can see, there's been some great kind of interesting pools and everything that have dried, and it's really going to give the painting a really interesting effect. And so I'm going to go in with the charcoal pencil, and I'm going to redraw some of the areas in again so that I can make sure that it's going to be a little bit more accurate when I start up painting again. And but I am happy with the little pooling effects that have happened with the watercolor. Okay, so while I was letting this dry, it took a couple of hours, I would say. And what I did is I went out for coffee with my friend Ali Left Hand, and Ali's a member of the Yarhi Yithka Ghana Nation, which is in Eden Valley, close by here in Okotoks, and I wanted to ask him about the pheasant. You know, the pheasant is not indigenous to Alberta. It's been here since maybe the 1800s. I'm not sure exactly, but Ali told me what one would call the pheasant. So here's Ali.
Shiotanga. It's like a bigger chicken. Yeah.
Okay, so Ali and I had a nice coffee down in Okotoks at the tribal coffee, and it was nice to catch up with them. We've been friends for a while, and I haven't talked to them very much lately, so that was great. Okay, we're just going to keep on working on seeing what we can see, all the different colors we can see in the pheasant, and try and replicate that, I guess. I'm just going to flood this area around the, what I mean is I'm just going to put some water around the area of the pheasant, and then I'm going to go back in because you can see that the background is really quite abstract, so we're going to let the colors kind of bleed into each other here and just do whatever it is that the colors want to do. We're not going to overdo it because when you put too much watercolor together, it's going to end up looking like mud, and we don't want mud. Oh, I like this kind of blue color. It's quite nice. I think I might redo that log down there in this kind of color. Okay, so I just let things dry for about 10 minutes or so, and when I got back I realized a couple things. One is that you always need to change your water before, while you're waiting for it to dry the next layer. Very important, otherwise your colors are going to get muddy on you. The other mistake or error that I needed to correct, I always tell my students, don't try and crowd the image onto your paper. It's always a better idea to just let it be accurate and go right off the paper. Okay, so in this case the pheasant's tail is going, it's going well beyond where I have it here. So yeah, that's important, especially when you're drawing people and figures. Okay, so I'm going to go over the whole kind of structure again, probably, you know, one more time or so with the charcoal pencil. So that's your drawing part of it. Okay, let's start throwing some whites in here. And you got your fresh water. You might have some white on your watercolor palette. If you don't, you can get a tube of what I like to use as well. It's called gouache, and it's a little bit thicker white paint. You'll be able to add some good highlights with that. It's going to continue doing some drawing. It's sometimes a good idea to get if you're going from this way to this way, whatever, if you're left-handed or right-handed, put a Kleenex down, and that's going to protect your drawing a little bit. Okay, that should do it. Um, it is the 24th day of January 2023. We have been painting a pheasant. And I'm going to sign it here. And we'll see you next week. And I hope you've enjoyed painting today. Any day that you can spend painting or afternoon or morning is a great time. So we'll see you later.